Okay, let's talk about Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan is an American singer-songwriter, author, and visual artist. Widely regarded as one of the greatest songwriters of all time, Bob Dylan was born Robert Allen Zimmerman. His Hebrew name is Shabati Zitzel ben Abraham. He was born in 1941 in Duluth, Minnesota. Dylan's paternal grandparents immigrated from Odessa in the Ukraine to the United States due to anti-Semitism in 1905. His maternal grandparents were Lithuanian Jews who arrived in the United States in 1902. Dylan has been a major figure in popular culture for more than 50 years. Much of his most celebrated work dates from the 1960s, when songs such as Blowin' in the Wind and Times They Are A-Changin became anthems for the civil rights and anti-war movements. His lyrics during this period incorporated a range of political, social, philosophical, and literary influences, defined pop music conventions, and appealed to the burgeoning counterculture. Blowing in the Wind, Bob Dylan's classic 1962 protest song, has had a long, rich life as an anthem for causes from civil rights to nuclear disarmament. In this song, the speaker poses a series of huge questions about the persistence of war and oppression, and then responds with one repeated cryptic reply. The answer, my friend, is blown in the wind. Finding an end to human cruelty, the song suggests it's a matter of understanding a truth that's all around us, but paradoxically impossible to grasp. Since 1994, Dylan has published 8 books of drawings and paintings, and his work has been exhibited in major art galleries. He has sold more than 100 million records, making him one of the best-selling music artists of all time. He has received numerous awards, including the Presidential Medal of Freedom, 10 Grammy Awards, a Golden Globe Award, and an Academy Award. Dylan has been introduced into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Nashville Songwriters Hall of Fame, and the Songwriters Hall of Fame. The Pulitzer Prize Board of 2008 awarded him a special citation for his profound impact on popular music and American culture, marked by lyrical compositions of extraordinary poetic power. In 2016, Dylan was awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature for having created new poetic expressions within the great American song tradition. Bob Dylan's poem, All Along the Watchtower, here's an analysis of that poem. All Along the Watchtower was written and recorded by Bob Dylan. It appeared on his 1967 album, John Wesley Harding, and is now considered to be one of his greatest compositions. It has since appeared on numerous compilations of his music. The song ranked as number 47 on Rolling Stone's 500 Greatest Songs of All Time. It has been covered by many artists such as Jimi Hendrix and Dave Matthews Band. Here's an analysis of All Along the Watchtower. All Along the Watchtower contains a meaning that is not stated properly in the song. By the first line in the third stanza, all along the watchtower, princes keep their view. It becomes clear what the poem is about. Princes are keeping an eye on the borders of their kingdom. The last line says, two riders were approaching, the wind began to howl. It refers to impending danger. Before anything becomes clear, the poet ends the poem, allowing readers to imagine what would have happened in the plot. In the first line, the Joker and the thief's conversation are also mysterious. This conversation somehow points to the same tension for which the princes are waiting on the watchtower. In the end, it seems that everyone in the poem is waiting for something to happen, but nobody can tell what is going to happen in Dylan's poem. Lines 1 through 4. There must be some way out of here, said the Joker to the thief. There's too much confusion. I can't get no relief. Businessmen, they drink my wine. Plowmen dig my earth. None of them along the line know what any of it is worth. The first lines of All Along the Watchtower are about two characters, a joker and a thief. He puts the reader right into the middle of a conversation. The first statement is one of desperation. It is of the moment, something that must be resolved but is lacking in definition. The reader has no idea where here is or what these two characters are doing. The thief and the joker are examples of archetypes. They represent a larger population through the use of this single simple label. These two are both outsiders, separate from the regular population by their professions and natures. The Joker continues as the speaker, raising several grievances and explaining what it is that he wants to escape from. There is confusion, the Joker says. Everything is jumbled up, and he can't sort what's right in life. The Joker brings up images of businessmen who drink his wine and benefit from his hard work. This metaphor connects to both the Joker and the thief, who are, as their labels suggest, outside the norm. The businessman and the plowman are used to represent the established order, the leaders of society who decide what gets done and who benefits. Dylan is encouraging a listener to make these connections, but he is not explicitly stating what each element of the song means. Lines 4 and 8. No reason to get excited, the thief, he kindly spoke. But there are many here among us who feel that life is but a joke. But you and I, we've been through that, and this is not our fate. So let us not talk falsely now. The hour is getting late. In the second verse, the thief replies to the Joker. It appears that he's sympathizing with much that the Joker has said, but he's not quite so hopeless. He feels that the two of them are not as confused as the Joker thinks. They're on the right path, and it's not their fate to have a joke of a life. Lines 9 through 12. All along the Watchtower, princes kept the view, while all the women came and went, barefoot servants too. Outside in the distance, a wildcat did growl. Two riders were approaching. The wind began to howl. In the final four lines of All Along the Watchtower, the imagery gets stronger. Dylan writes about a watchtower, princes, and the women who came and went. This is the location of the thief and the joker are heading towards. The last time describes them as the two riders. They're on their way to the tower in amongst a dark and suspenseful atmosphere. There's a wildcat growling in the distance, and the wind begins to howl in the last line. This is an example of foreshadowing. The two main characters are on one side of the castle walled town, and the princes and women are on the other. This represents the two very different sides of life. There is a lot that can be read into the imagery and atmosphere of the poem. A listener or reader might ask themselves, what is the coming confrontation? Is it a revolution of some kind, or part of society overthrowing the other? Perhaps the two writers are on their way to sort out a better life for themselves. What kind of conversations will they have with the princes? Finally, what happens in the established order of workers and who benefits if it's overthrown? Jimi Hendrix sings Bob Dylan's poem All Along the Watchtower. James Marshall Jimi Hendrix was born in 1942 and dies at a young age in 1970. He was born in Seattle, Washington, and was of mixed African American and Cherokee Native American ancestry. He was an American musician, singer, and songwriter. Although his mainstream career spanned only 4 years, he is widely regarded as one of the most influential electric guitarists in the history of popular music, and one of the most celebrated musicians of the 20th century. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame describes him as arguably the greatest instrumentalist in the history of rock and roll. Please listen to Jimi Hendrix's rendition of Bob Dylan's All Along the Watchtower.